Alright, so I have spent a fun day playing with the new and improved FAL that Modern Warfare recently buffed. I guess Infinity Ward buffed it, the game didn't buff it itself. Either way, I've been using it, and I have some thoughts and some opinions about it. Let me know your guys' thoughts and opinions about the FAL in the comment section below, but of course let's first get into mine because they're far more important than the average person's. The FAL and I go way back. I've been singing its praises ever since it got its first buff. When it got its recoil reduced and its fire rate increased, the gun just felt amazing. They've done some slight tweakings here and there towards the weapon, but for the most part, my god, it is still incredibly fun to use. It's incredibly versatile, and I've loved it for a while. So when I saw that it got buffed, I was a little confused. I was excited and confused, I guess, because I thought it would be nice to have it be a little bit more prominent in the meta, but also I thought it was really good before. I don't know why it needed a buff. Especially this strong of one. You see, the FAL now can two-shot you to any part of the body at 18 meters and can one-shot headshot you at that same range. This means a lot less accuracy is required, but if you do put in the accuracy, you can immediately delete somebody off the map. Now, keep in mind that the FAL can fire at around 500 rounds per minute. That depends on your trigger finger and your shot pacing and here, that, and this there, so it's around 500, just think about that, it's around 500, which is considerably slower than that of like the AK or the SCAR, which fire at both like 600 plus. But now it's going to be two-shotting or one-shotting you at almost 20 meters. And this is a notable upgrade to the weapon's hipfire performance because now you don't have to worry about where your hipfire rounds are landing. As long as you're within that 18 meters, you're going to be dishing out some serious damage. And you can extend that range with the longest barrel and monolithic suppressor, so you can push it out pretty far. So when somebody comes up to you and starts hip firing the FAL, they just need to make sure 2 shots land. That's all they need to worry about. They don't need to worry about the logistics of where the bullet goes, it's just, you know, make sure it hits them twice. And if it lands a headshot, it's an immediate kill. So people will likely start making hip fire only FAL builds that are very competitive in close quarters. Now, there's a couple of reasons I like this buff, and then we'll get into what I think they should do to it in a little bit, but one of the big things I like is how many times since this game has come out have I started a gunfight and then just died because the person had a shotgun, a Kar 98, an MK2, sometimes even an MP5. Either way, something that just immediately one-shots me off the face of the planet. And I like now that there's something else that can deliver that instantaneous melting that I've been experiencing and disliking since the game's release. The idea of something being competitive up close now that was usually made for more long-range precision combat or mid-range combat, that's nice. I actually like that quite a bit. And I do think one of the balancing factors is that the FAL is semi-auto. It requires you to have a good trigger finger. It requires shot pacing to control recoil. This isn't like a Kilo that's just a almost no recoil 4-shot killing assault rifle, you know, or like a Grau or an M4. You know, obviously this gun's more like a marksman rifle, an SKS, an EBR, a FAMAS, an Odin. It's more like that. And that's kind of cool to me that it's now competent up close, but there are some things that need to be taken into account here, Infinity Ward. When you buffed this weapon, did you not realize how good it was going to be up close and how easy it is to land 2 shots with an FAL in close quarters, especially with hip fire? That buff is already very scary because landing 2 body shots is much easier than landing a single headshot at times, especially with, again, hip fire. But, the problem is that the SKS and EBR were the one-shot headshotting marksman rifles, and now I feel like in 6v6 you're better off just using the FAL and using the SKS and EBR in ground war. I don't really see a point in using those weapons in 6v6 anymore because of this buff, but obviously there are still ranges that the FAL is not super proficient at when compared to the EBR or SKS. If you're playing 10v10 and you're trying to lock down a long line of sight on Arklov Peak or Grozny Raid or Anya Palace or whatever, you know, I think, yeah, the EBR might be better for that. The EBR can one-shot headshot, like, at insane distances. I don't think I've even found its limit. And yeah, that's important to note. You know, you should know that you can do that with the EBR. But in like a match of Hackney Yard or Ramaza or Gunrunner, the FAL is now the semi-auto of choice. They sort of just solidified it as this is the semi-auto you want to use. And I don't agree with that line of balancing, because it's the kind of balancing that just makes up your mind for you. Similarly, when the SKS came out, it sort of made up your mind. Oh, do I want to use the EBR? No. The answer is no. The SKS is better unless you're going for incredibly long-range headshots. Other than that, the SKS just does it better. There's more granularity and there's some more blurred lines between like the Kar 98 and MK2, and those are more depending on your playstyle. Those are pretty well balanced, and the fact that they both exist and people prefer one over the other for various reasons, that's a sign of good weapon balance, even if they're a little annoying to die by up close, and they certainly didn't need the buffs they got, but whatever. But with this FAL buff, it is the semi-auto, it is the marksman weapon that you should go for if you play 6v6. If you play a match of domination and you're thinking, oh, I want to use the EBR, you are hindering yourself, unless of course you're on a really large map and you just have to get those long-range headshots. So here's what I think they should do to their own buff, and I hate to say this because I love the FAL being good. I like that the meta has been tweaked a little bit, but they definitely threw some things out of balance with this patch. And so here's what I think they should do. They should limit that one-shot headshot potential to being like 5 meters. Really, like even 10 meters is too much in my opinion. 18 is absurd. So yeah, about 5 meters. So when you're point blank and you go for the head, you are rewarded. So if somebody's bumping into you, they have a shotgun, your only chance is a headshot, that's perfect. I like that. So 5-meter headshot. And then I think its 2-shot to the anywhere thing should be simply reduced to 10 meters, so just shave 8 meters off of that. Still very, very good in close quarters combat, but then at least it doesn't start to extend out to where I would almost consider mid-range, and that's the problem with the FAL right now, is it sort of gets into that area where it feels like this is sort of a mid-range, anywhere on the body 2-shot kill, and that just screams overpowered to me. Now, the problem with calling this weapon overpowered is that it actually has a lot less going for it compared to other guns. Again, there are weapons in this game that will kill you in 4 shots at 800 rounds per minute with 60-round magazines. They're lightweight, they're easy to control. You know, you have the M4, you have the Grau, you have the Kilo, you have the Ram, you have these weapons that are incredibly easy to use. But God, for fucking sake, we have shotguns that don't even require precision or landing multiple shots. We just have shotguns that allow you to just spray buckshot at people. Obviously, that's what they're there for. And SMGs as well, like the MP5, obviously. Like, it just, yeah, it kills me to say, but like, I like it because it's harder to use than those guns, but just because it's harder to use than some of the easiest guns in the game doesn't mean they didn't go overboard with the buff. Yeah, it doesn't require a ton of skill to land 2 body shots within 18 meters with an FAL. I'm sorry, it just fucking doesn't. So in summary, to make this more concise, I will say that the FAL should be 1-shot headshotting at 5 meters, and I think that the 2-shotting should be happening at 10 meters. I think after 10 meters, you should be having to hit upper torso and headshots if you want fast kills with the FAL. I think that the weapon is good in the sense that it does require more skill to use than something like an MP5, but just because it requires that skill, that does not mean it's exempt from being a little bit overpowering in close quarters now. So I do think they need to tweak that. So it needs a bit of a nerf. Those are my ideas. Let me know what you guys think about this in the comment section below. I will see you when I see you. Goodbye.